Judges are saying that there was an obstruction of an official proceeding. The biggest threat to the 12th Amendment and the joint session on that day, hands down, no question, is the person that placed 2 pipe bombs at the DNC and the RNC. The corrupt, illegitimate Chris Wray outfit, known as the Domestic Terrorist Organization, FBI, is ignoring that. Probably because they were in on it with Yogi Pittman as the lead coordinator behind it. I'm not saying 100% it happened. My gut feeling is screaming that it happened. We need to investigate to prove it. My gut tells me way beyond 50% that there's enough there to say, you know what, way beyond reasonable suspicion to investigate, and there's probable cause. Now that we're hearing from whistleblowers from the U.S. Capitol Police, and once we get whistleblowers from the Metropolitan Police Department, which you're coming, trust me, because you're going to want to abandon the ship that's sinking right now.
You were set up too.
Once we get at least one Metropolitan Police Department officer to be a whistleblower on what happened on January 6th, and it's going to come from somebody that didn't violate anybody's rights, they're going to come out smelling like roses, and they're going to have to look themselves in the mirror and determine, you know what? I need to now come out because the court of public opinion through Tucker on Twitter, who's reaching over 100 million views a day, is going to get to the bottom of the true story, which is going to supplant completely the entire narrative that we've been, well, not us here, but the rest of society, to include many of these officers that are out here protecting us. They're going to see for themselves with their own very eyes that Tucker Carlson is going to prove to you everything that Mickey, Tommy, and everybody else in here, Gary, has been saying for the last 2 years and 5 months. 12th Amendment.
Yes. I was going to say, what you just said is so much more sexy than what you're about to say, but let me say real quick.
Nice. Ivan is also a constitutional lawyer, along with being a Green Beret and a bunch of other accolades. So this is why you should listen.
Ivan!
And I have stayed at a Holiday Inn Express one time or two. So, when these judges are saying these things, and as the the independent media platforms like Lara Logan, right? You guys are here. Tucker, some of the independent podcasters, you guys are here too. As we create more content to push back against them, it's going to trickle its way up to society, to the Metropolitan Police Department officers, to the judges, to the U.S. attorneys, to the jurors. And what are they going to find out? The certification of the Electoral College vote on January 6th consists of a joint session that is outlined in the 12th Amendment to our United States Constitution. The only place it's mentioned. Okay? The specific process that the 12th Amendment, I guess, the specific process on the joint session is outlined in the Electoral Count Act, based on, some conflict that occurred in 1876 with a previous election, Tilden Hayes. So they created the 12th Amendment to fix some of that stuff, right? Now, the joint session occurs in the House, on the House side in the House chambers. So, I don't understand how you are, obstructing an official proceeding when the proceeding is going on illegally at its inception.
Why was it illegal?
Let me explain why it was illegal from its inception at 1:03 p.m.
Please do.
At 1 o'clock, Nancy Pelosi gavels in, as well she should, and with her single mask, I think at the time, it wasn't double, she says through her vodka, probably alcohol-ridden breath, maybe, and says, gavels in, and says, at the advice of the sergeants at arms, House and Senate, and the attending physician, with the agreement of leadership, Kevin McCarthy, Mitch McConnell, Chuck Schumer, we have collectively agreed to only allow 11 members of the Republican conference in the House, 11 members of the Democrats caucus in the House, 11 Republicans from the Senate, and 11 Democrats from the Senate to be on the House floor as we start the joint session. Let's take a look at the 12th Amendment.
Yes.
What does it say? You need to have 2/3 of the senators present for a quorum, which is 67. So 11 plus 11 is 22, slightly less than 67. And then let's take a look at the first part of that 12th Amendment that talks about the House. It says 2/3 of the states must be represented. Translation, we have 50 states. 2/3 of those states are 34. If one person from 34 separate states is present on the House floor, you have a quorum. 11 plus 11 is less than 34, because 11 plus 11 is 22. At 1:03 p.m., as the broad-shouldered, pious one is handed over the gavel by Nancy Pelosi, talking about Mikey P here. You down with Mikey P? No, not me. Michael R. Pence. What happens with Michael R. Pence? All right, so what happens with Michael R. Pence? He takes the gavel from Nancy Pelosi and starts to gavel in to start the joint session as the presiding officer at this point. So he transitions from being the vice president from the outside of the Capitol. When he goes into the Senate chambers, he's the president of the Senate. When he walks into the joint session, he's the presiding officer of the House. And then guess what happens next? That always happens when I talk about Mikey Pence, by the way, because they know they can't do anything about me because I've proved him to be the traitor that he is. Not my words. These are the words of probably 100 million Americans. So don't quote me on it. Quote 100 million Americans, because I'm still determining whether or not he is or not. So, we got the presiding officer, gavels in, and Congressman Morgan Griffith stands up to call him out. And what does he say? He says, hey, guess what? How are we going to participate in this joint session if over 90% of us are not even allowed to participate on the House floor? He's basically calling out there's a lack of quorum. Mike Pence says, debate's not allowed. And then Congressman Morgan Griffith once again asks, well, I'm not trying to debate. I'm trying to make a point of order and a parliamentary inquiry in order to be able to see if we can even participate in the joint session. Mike Pence refuses that, says it's debate, because the parliamentarian whispers in his ear saying that that's debate, which is wrong. And what does he do instead? Somebody uses his Twitter at the same time to tweet out that he doesn't have any unilateral authority to decline and determine the electoral allocation, right, of the electoral slates. But what did he just do unilaterally? He denied over 90% of Congress from participating in the joint session. So, when somebody is what? Obstructing something, you have to be obstructing something that's being done legitimately. Mikey Pence didn't even start a lawful procession, and it still hasn't been done until the joint session of this new House convenes and does a lawful and legitimate 12th Amendment joint session. Then you can have an official proceeding. Until then, it's not legitimate. So there you go. Long answer to your question.
Really good. Let's everybody give Ivan a round of applause, and then we'll give him applause. Ivan, don't leave yet. Ivan, what's your name of your locals?
Oh, yeah. So if you want to take a look at my locals, I have a 5-hour master class on the deep state going back 50 years. Ivan E. Raikelin. Oh, for those folks back there, please follow my locals at ivaneraikelin.locals.com. Also, if you're a Metropolitan Police Department officer, I'll give you a lifetime subscription to my locals and my Substack. All I need from you is the email that you're going to use on your Substack. That goes for everybody here, and that goes for all the DC Metropolitan Police Department officers here. And you know what? Just because I'm feeling nice today, those that are out there making some noises, I will provide you also lifetime access to my Substack. I just need your email address and your phone number. Okay? Thank you.
Well, that one chick's name is Nina Cotta, and that's Eminem Entertainment from Twitter. So everybody do go to